Well, happy holidays, Hannah. It's the holiday season, and we're actually recording this on the sixth day of Hanukkah right now, but we are less than a week before Christmas, and when you're hearing this, it will be the day after. What are your holiday plans coming up?
I have a lot of holiday plans. So this weekend, so the weekend of the 20th, I am seeing my mother and we're celebrating Christmas together. And then I'm seeing my dad's side Christmas Eve, and then I'm seeing my boyfriend's family on Christmas. How about you?
Before I get to mine, but does your family celebrates Christmas, not Hanukkah or Festivus?
Yes, we only celebrate Christmas.
All right. Well, do you know what Festivus is?
No.
Well, Festivus is for the rest of us. Festivus is the holiday that George Costanza's dad celebrates on Seinfeld. And after our recap, I will give you a quick hit intro into Festivus and see if it's something that you want to adopt. Sound good?
Okay. Sounds good. Kind
It
of
also
reminds me of
introduces you to
Pastafarianism.
Seinfeld.
Okay. I don't know why it reminded me of Pastafarianism.
It's not related to Pastafarianism, but I had a feeling that you would lean into that when I brought it up. So Hannah's been learning lots of new things, including about Pastafarians. Yeah, but that will not be on today's episode. Well, for the holidays, I think we typically just celebrate here. My boyfriend comes over and we do our presents. I'll get together probably after Christmas sometime with my dad, but on Christmas Day, religiously, this was a tradition my mom and I started is we go to a movie. And although my mom is in Mississippi this year, my boyfriend and I always go to a movie Christmas Day, so that is what we will be doing. Because I'm a culture junkie and I love going to catch up on what's going on in the movies. And
Oh,
I
that's so cute.
don't have our movie picked out yet. I have some ideas, but yeah, maybe we'll talk about that later. But well, welcome to Millennial Meets Gen Z, a podcast where two generations come together to revisit the movies and pop culture that shaped an era. I'm Allison, the Millennial.
I'm Hannah, the Gen Z.
And each week we explore a new story through nostalgia, fresh perspective of Hannah's, and plenty of conversation. So let's rewind. Our movie this week was Jumanji from 1995. Now I have to say that I was 9 when this movie came out, and I actually saw it in the theaters. I don't remember if it came out. I don't think it was our Christmas movie, but I did see it then a million times after that. Well, Jumanji is about a magical board game that traps its players in a dangerous jungle adventure. Young Alan Parrish gets sucked in during a game in 1969 and returns 26 years later when siblings Judy and Peter Shepard find and play the game, unleashing jungle perils like giant insects and stampeding animals that can only be stopped by finishing the game. Together with Alan, Judy, Peter, and now the adult Sarah, they must brave rhinos, monkeys, and Hunter Van Pelt to win, restoring the world and reversing the destruction. Now, Jumanji was directed by Joe Johnston, who was actually an art director for Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is a great movie. Have you seen any of the Indiana Jones series? Okay.
Well, I
Well,
a little bit,
a
but
little
like
bit.
not
Okay.
much, not much.
Uh, and Star Wars. So he was also an art director. He worked on the art team in Star Wars, the original trilogy. As a director himself, he has directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which is a 1989 movie that we may do a flashback to because it's such a integral part of the 90's. He also did the movie The Rocketeer, October Sky, which is another great 90's movie, Jurassic Park 3, and Captain America, The First Avenger. This movie was also written by Jonathan Hensley, Greg Taylor, and Jim Strain. Jonathan is known for starting his career with George Lucas as well, but writing things like my boyfriend's favorite movie, Armageddon. Greg is known for writing feel-good movies like Harriet the Spy, that's also on our list, and Prancer. Jim was known for 3 episodes of Dolly Parton's Heartstrings and a movie called Summer of Monkeys that he did just after Jumanji. So, what was your take on this movie?
My notes for this are so funny. It was very chaotic. A lot of the time I was like, what is going on? Why is more coming at them? Like I was so perturbed and so perplexed. Like obviously I knew why they were having more cursed animals and whatnot, but I was like, there's more? There's a lion now? What? The whole lion thing was like one of my favorite parts. The fact the lion was like in the bed actively made me laugh so hard. Like out of all the animals, I think I could beat up the lion personally. Like I was like, I could beat up this lion.
It's multiple times your size.
I think I could do it. I think I could do it.
Okay, if you are ever faced with a lion, don't try it. You won't win.
Probably not, but I think if I was in that, I think I could have beat that lion. I think it would have not been alive anymore. But I really liked it. I rated it an 8. I really, really liked it. I liked the
On
little
the Hannah scale?
yes, it
Okay.
an 8 on the Hannah scale, with Beautiful Boy being a 10. And I was trying to figure out what my one was. I think I sent you what my one was, but now thinking about it, I forget. But I have a one and we'll include what it is at some
Okay,
point.
yeah, we need to like put some of these in your rankings up there. I think your worst movie was Mean Girls the musical.
Oh my God, I hated that. I hated that movie. I like
Okay, I
left the
haven't seen
theater.
Mean Girls the musical, so I will hold my thoughts.
I hate it. I like left the theater. That's how much like it gave me anxiety. I don't know why something about it gave me anxiety to the point where I had to leave the theater.
Did you see the regular Mean Girls?
Yeah, I liked the
Okay,
regular Mean Girls. I hated the musical one. I don't know
okay,
why. Hated it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's from
Well,
Mean
I
Girls.
haven't seen the musical, so I'll hold my thoughts about that. I have plenty of one movies that I don't like, so
Yeah.
yeah, I feel ya.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we dive into the actual movie itself, getting back to your lion, I have to say that this was actually a groundbreaking movie for CGI at the time. Jurassic Park had just been 2 years before, and this had been done around the same time as they released Toy Story, which was entirely computer animated. And this movie itself was really big for mixing CGI, which was still very new, and animatronics and puppetry. So it was they used a lot of specialty software in this particular movie to give the animals the facial expressions that you see. And then also all of that digital fur on the lion and the monkeys, that was all CGI and it moves when they move. And um, I think it's important to mention that at the time, like the CGI was pretty big because we didn't see that a lot outside of maybe Jurassic Park. And then, they'd been experimenting with it for decades, but it hadn't really gotten to where it is today. So,
Oh,
well,
really? That's super cool.
yeah, it was. It was really cool at the time too in the theater to be like, whoa, that's really cool. But you could tell, like, because you're so used to seeing like real animals or puppets or animatronics. So like seeing the kind of combination it was just a very different experience as a moviegoer.
Hmm.
Well, the movie starts in 1869 with two boys uncovering a locked trunk in the back of a cart that is being pulled by horses. They throw it into a hole and bury it, and we hear the drumming. This is a constant thing with Jumanji. You hear the drumming. And Benjamin says, "What if someone digs it up?" And Caleb responds, "May God have mercy on his soul." And then we see I hope you knew I was going to point it out, a traffic circle. And in 1969, Brantford, New Hampshire. So we're about 100 years later in the same town. We're introduced to Alan Parrish on his bike riding through town. And he seems to like know everyone. He seems to be pretty popular throughout the town. And biking through the park, some bullies on bikes actually start chasing him. And Alan bikes to the large factory and closes the doors behind him, where the bullies say, "Run to daddy, we'll be waiting." Young Alan is actually played by Adam Hanbird, who's known for Halloween H2O. I never saw that, or The Ice Storm and Little Man Tate movies I've never even heard of. Um, so yeah, that's okay. These are newer. But Alan catches up with Carl, who created a sneaker high top, and he's hoping Wilt Chamberlain will wear it. Obviously, this is a nod to the Air Jordan. It was supposed to kind of be mocked like the Air Jordan that became popular when Michael Jordan wore, and it was in every kid's bedroom. So it's kind of like the same, along the same lines. Carl is played by David Allen Greer, who's best known for In Living Color, which I will say, if you go to his IMDb page and you see his best known, it doesn't even freaking mention In Living Color at the top. You have to like scroll through, and I knew that one was missing from that list. That's like such a classic show. That's from the 80's. But he was in like so many episodes of In Living Color, and you can't not mention it. So I was very surprised that like in his upper information, it like doesn't even say that. He's also known for Joe Pickett, Dad Stop Embarrassing Me, a few episodes from that, The Wiz Live, which is a really good musical, Bewitched the movie, and The Big Sick, which was one of my favorite movies, among many, many other things. He also starred alongside one of the other actors in this movie in the show Life with Bonnie, which I'll show you, I'll point that out when we get to her. Alan's dad calls to him and he sets the shoe down where it starts going into the shredder into the on the conveyor belt. As Alan leaves, he sees smoke and leaves Carl as Carl takes responsibility for the shoe break in the machine. It's really unclear whether this was an accident or not. I remember specifically as a kid, I thought he did it on purpose. And but as an adult watching it, I was like, oh, it's evidently an accident. He's like not paying attention when he sets the shoe down and he doesn't really fully understand what's going on when he leaves. So I think I missed that as a kid and I just assumed like he did it on purpose out of spite or something.
Yeah, yeah, I could see the thought of it being intentional because of like his reaction to the shoe. He wasn't like, "Oh my God, this is so pretty," or "This is so cool." Like he was
Yeah.
just, "Oh, okay." So like I could
So
see that thought process, but I don't know. I feel like if I was also being chased by bullies and ran into my dad's factory, I probably wouldn't be thinking much either.
yeah. And so Alan leaves, uh, and after he had gotten a lecture from his father about facing the bullies, he walks out to be beat up by the kids, who then leave with his bike. It was like rude. Take his bike too. That's stealing. Um,
His dad's advice made me so mad. I was like, "Girl, this why are you gonna encourage him to get beat up?" What?
it's about facing your problems. That was a big push in the 90's. Face your problems, face your bullies. Like don't let them get the best of you. We were not of the generation of like my parents are going to handle my bullies for me all the time. It was very pro like handle your own problems because that came from the boomers grew up that way. The greatest generation, the people who were, alive World War I, they taught their kids like you're tough, you be tough, you handle your stuff. And boomers who then raised millennials and Gen X then were taught like you handle your own stuff. And so it was very pro like you go take care of it. You got this. And this was, the greatest, I mean, because this is 1969, and so he would have been a boomer. Um, and his parent would have been greatest generation. Like that's how you handle it. So, but even as millennials, that's what we were taught. I mean, we were a little bit more coddled than that generation was, but a lot of us were, not everybody, obviously, but yeah, you handle your own bullies, you stick up for yourself. And
And
a
that
lot of
worked
us,
out well for him.
yeah, it didn't go well for a lot of people, just to be honest. Like I've been beat up, I've beat people up, I've had to handle my own a few times. Um,
But oh my God.
maybe I was kind of I hope I wasn't a bully, but it's possible. I was very like pro as a kid. I was very pro like this is right and this is wrong, and I would stick up for what was right to the detriment of others sometimes. Like I was the bully of the bullies. Like I would pick on the bullies to get them to stop picking on the other people. I was some kind of, I don't know if I was like some kind of avenger that I thought in my head, but if you were not nice, I was like, you are going to get justice rained down upon you.
This is giving anti-hero. I appreciate that.
Well, I know, but I thought I was the hero. I was never the underdog. I was always like the it's not like a yeah, anyway, I don't know how I ended up that way, but I was very like justice will be served, cold hard justice from Allison will be served, and all the playground will be freed again, is what it is. Like there was this kid once that we've gone on a tangent, but there was this kid once that was like whipping little girls with a jump rope in the playground, and I literally picked him up. And granted, our fence at school was like maybe 2 feet, 2.5 feet high, but I picked him up and I threw him onto the other side of the fence so that he was outside the playground. After telling him multiple times to stop, I will be like, I never resorted to violence first. It was always like, let's try to manage this. And I see that you're cracking up. Okay, well, that's what I did. And I was like very adamant that like I had done the right thing. And I got in trouble, obviously. He got in no trouble for whipping these girls who were crying. And they thanked me after that happened. So I got to stand by the wall at recess. And at the end of I think I was there for like a month. And at the end of the month, the teacher was like, "Did you learn your lesson?" And I said, and my mom tells this story a lot. I said, "I learned that standing by the wall isn't that bad." And I got another month. So
Feminist icon. I appreciate this. She's been a feminist since day one.
I was like, it's not that bad. I don't have to do
Okay.
anything. I don't have to engage with people. People will come to me. They would come and like talk to me and then run away or whatever. Like my friends would come talk to me and then leave and go back to playing. And I was like, this isn't that bad. I don't know what the
Yeah.
problem is. So yeah, I'll take my punishment. I saved some girls from being whipped by a jump rope.
No, you did. Okay. I appreciate that. That's feminism, to be
So
honest.
if that kid is still out there, who ended up on the other side of the fence very quickly. I'm very sorry if you, but I didn't put you down hard. I set you down carefully, just outside the school. Just he had to like go back through. He had to go back through to get back to the playground too. Anyway, so that happened. So moving right along. My mom would be laughing about this because she knows that story. Okay. It's one of many. It's one of many stories. Um, oh, so well, Alan is left with a bloody lip, bruises, and a black eye. I never did that to anyone. Alan hears drumming and he starts digging to find a strange trunk out of the ground. He opens the trunk, it's a game in a box. We see him carry it home to his very large mansion. Very large mansion. I was like, that is a giant house.
Can we talk about the stairs? I was like in love with the stairs.
I don't know if I clocked how big that house was when I was watching this as a kid, or that he was like really rich. Like, obviously, his dad owns a factory, so and employs half the town. So I think that's how he's known by everyone. But man, I don't think that registered when I was a kid. So he opens the game, tosses down the game pieces, and they go into place. When his mom calls for him, so he like shuts it very quickly, puts it under the couch. Later, we see his parents leave for a party, and Alan is eating dinner. And his parents go over to talk to him. His parents are played by Jonathan Hyde and Patricia Clarkson. Jonathan is known for his role in Titanic, Anaconda, Richie Rich, which we'll probably be watching at some point, and a small role in The Mummy, also on our list eventually. Patricia is known for The Station Agent, Far From Heaven, Shutter Island, Simply Irresistible, The Green Mile, a whole bunch of other things. They decide to send their son to the Cliffside School for Boys because of his actions and his issues with bullies. Also, his dad went there, which Alan's not happy about. He says he doesn't want to go, and his dad threatens he's going next Sunday. Like, there's no really discussion about it. We waited to tell you until right before you're about to leave, which is terrifyingly terrible. So his parents leave, and Alan starts packing clothes, money, bread, peanut butter, which I'm gonna tell you, that is how I also pack. Peanut butter goes with me a lot of places. I took peanut butter to Vietnam, so I'm gonna tell you that peanut butter goes a lot of places. Because who doesn't want you can't get peanut butter everywhere. Well, I mean now in the United States you can, but internationally can't take peanut butter like yeah. And I was in Vietnam for two weeks. Now, I'm going to tell you just as a caveat, I did not actually intend to take peanut butter. It was my mother-in-law at the time who said, you should probably pack some peanut butter. And she packed it for me because I eat it all the time. And she was like, let's just take this. I think you'll have a comfort food with you. It's like, okay.
It's kind of sweet, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. But I did love peanut butter, so it was good. And everybody ate it when we opened it over there. So he also takes the game. There's a knock at the door. We meet Sarah, played by Laura Bell Bundy, who is more recognizable now, but she's been in things like Dreamgirls, Legally Blonde, the musical. Hopefully that's one you don't hate. How I Met Your Mother, several Hallmark movies. But I know her best as Shelby Sinclair on Heart of Dixie. So I looked her up, not recognizing her as a kid, and I looked her up and I was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly who this is. And that's where I know her from is Heart of Dixie. The drumming continues. Sarah says she doesn't play board games and drops the dice. Her pieces move automatically. The phrase appears, at night they fly, you better run. These winged things are not much fun. Alan accidentally rolled the dice and his piece moves. In the jungle, you must wait until the dice read 5 or 8. And then he gets sucked into the board game. Bats come out of the chimney. Bye, Alan. Bats come out of the chimney, and Sarah leaves the house screaming.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like, God, I'm not gonna lie, like the animation of him going into the board game kind of made me laugh. Just like the
Like a
spinniness of
toilet.
it.
He just gets sucked down and swirls.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, bye, Ellen.
Yeah. Bye, Alan. All right. Well, 26 later, 6 years later, in 1995, we see the old parish house is worn and needs repair. Aunt Nora and the real estate agent enter the house. Now, Aunt Nora is played by BB North, who is best known for her role as the ex-wife of Dr. Frasier Crane in Cheers and Frasier. She's also in The Summer of Sam, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Madam Secretary, and so many other things, including many voice acting roles. So if you check out her IMDb, I'm sure you'll recognize a bunch of things in there. We learn that Judy and Peter are her late brother's kids. The parents passed away last winter in a car crash. Judy and Peter go around looking around the house, and Judy tells the real estate agent about a lie about her parents' death. Now, initially, I guessed at the time when I was starting to watch this, and I'm trying to think of like how you're going to be thinking about this movie too. After doing a few of these, that's how I'm like watching them now. I'm like, what would Hannah think of this? And initially, I was like, Judy's going to be her favorite character for a hot second. And then I changed my mind as we got into the movie. But who was your favorite character?
That's a really good question because I liked Judy at first, actually. That's very true. She was just like a little prankster. Like she was just a prankster and she was kind of sassy and I liked that. Honestly, I kind of liked Alan the most. Like Alan was so
Oh,
unhinged. Yeah, I liked
oh,
Alan the most.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That was not my next guess. So that's
yeah,
very
no.
good. Well, Judy is played by Kristen Dunst, who became even more popular as she got older. Now I'm going to go through this list and you're going to have to tell me what you've seen.
Okay.
So she's known for her role in Spider-Man.
I have seen, I don't even know exactly what Spider-Man I've seen, but I've seen one. I've seen like the newer ones. I've never seen like the older ones. I've seen like the ones with
I'm
Tom
making a
Holland.
face right now because I'm wondering what you're considering older, considering all these movies were made in 2000s and on.
Like the ones that
So
aren't from like 20 like 19. Like the like ones that are like
those are the
chronologically older.
older ones.
Yeah, like
Or
the like ones with Tom Holland, the ones without Tom Holland I have not seen.
so the
I'm gonna be completely honest.
so you're saying older is something that is 6 years ago or before.
Yes. Like year
It's
wise.
fine.
Am I saying it's
It's
old?
fine. We're going to work on the word old as we go through this podcast and make sure you start using it for things in like the 1800s and not things 6 years ago. Okay. Next movie, Melancholia. I've never seen that movie.
I've never seen
Little Women, which you haven't seen. That's actually our next watch. Interview with a
it.
Vampire.
No, but that sounds really good. Writing that
Hidden
down.
Figures.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, that is a 2016 must see. So add Hidden Figures to your eventual you will get to it list. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I want to see that so bad. Have you seen
Okay,
that? Is it good?
yes, it's fine. It's not my top list. It's a good concept. It's a good movie. It's a good, but it's not. It's just not one. It didn't land for me. Like, this is in my top list of movies.
Okay.
Um,
Like I've heard either it's like really good or really bad, so that's a good take.
no, it's fine. It's fine. I would say it's worth a watch.
Okay, we're
Um, it's not, but it's not on my list. Mona Lisa Smile.
Nope.
Okay, that's a 2003 must watch. That's opposite Julia Roberts. I like that one because it's got a little bit of a historical context to it.
Mhm.
And one of my obsession movies that I think that you'd like is Crazy Beautiful from 2001.
That-
She's also been in Bring It On and 1998's All I Want to Do, which is also on our list.
Okay.
Now,
Cool.
Peter is played by Bradley Pierce, who voiced Chip in Beauty and the Beast and did a ton of voiceover work, including Tails and Sonic the Hedgehog, and was also in the 1997 The Borrowers, which we'll also get to eventually. Peter was asked to take stuff up to the attic where we find that there is a bat. The next day, we see an exterminator, and Judy says that Peter saw this particular bat, and the exterminator points out that it's an African bat and very unlikely. The exterminator says he wouldn't want to live in a house where someone was murdered. Alan Parrish was murdered there. He thinks his dad did it. We see the house transform into something beautiful that people can live in again. It gets really nice. And Judy gets grounded on her first day of school for lying about Alan Parrish being murdered in the house, although she wasn't lying. That's what she heard. And the way that the kids are coping is we find out that like Judy keeps lying and Peter like isn't talking to anyone but Judy. The kids hear the drumming, and you've been doing the drumming motion for all those who can't see Hannah do this. She keeps doing the drumming motion like throughout it's a different kind of drum than what she seems to be doing. Um, but after the ant leaves, they find the game in the attic. They notice two pieces on the board that can't move. So here is where we learn the rules of Jumanji. It's a game for those who seek to find a way to leave their world behind. You roll the dice, and to move your token, doubles gets another turn. I was kind of bummed that that didn't rhyme. I'm really big into like wanting things to rhyme. The first player to reach the end wins. Peter gets out two more pieces and they go to the board. Judy rolls a 6. A tiny bite can make you itch, make you sneeze, make you twitch. Just then, large mosquitoes appear and she knocks one through the window and the others leave as well. I will say that this is a really creepy. I would hate mosquitoes that size. Yeah.
Oh yeah, too. Like
Peter rolls a 2. This will not be an easy mission. Monkeys slow the expedition, and they find the monkeys downstairs destroying the kitchen, and they realize this all comes from the game. Additional instructions are finally read. Adventurers beware. Do not begin unless you intend to finish. The exciting consequences to this game will only vanish when a player reaches Jumanji and calls out its name. The monkeys are now on the loose outside. Not great that everything keeps leaving the house. Judy says they want to get through the game quickly, and she adds that there is no skill involved, which we will find is not true. Peter rolls doubles and gets another turn. He rolls a 5. His fangs are sharp. He like your taste. Your party better move post haste. And then the lion appears. This lion that you're obsessed with.
the
And thinks
lion's actually my favorite
tackle
character. I take it back.
yourself. The lion's your favorite character. Okay. Well, the jungle man appears and wearing weird leaves, and he is going to start fighting off the lion. He traps the cat and looks around. He finds the kids in the closet. And then he goes into his room and finds his bike and his things just as he left him. Alan Parrish is back home. Peter had rolled a 5 and freed Alan Parrish from the jungle. As we know, Alan Parrish is played by Robin Williams. He has so many credits to his career, but these are my favorites. As we mentioned on our last podcast, Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, Popeye, Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poet Society, Fern Gully, Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, Hook, our last movie, The Birdcage coming up soon, Flubber, Good Will Hunting, Patch Adams, just to name a few. So many great things that he's done. Alan thinks these kids are his siblings, and then he learns that his mom and dad no longer live in the house. He leaves and almost gets hit by Carl in the cop car. Judy lies and tells the cop that the man is back from Indonesia. The monkeys break into the cop car and take off with the cop car as Alan takes off running to find his parents. He finds downtown looks a lot worse than it used to be. Many homeless people, stores have been turned over to less desirable ones. The factory closing down has made such an impact, and you could see that the factory is in rough shape. He finds that his dad put everything into trying to find him and gave up on life. Unfortunately, his parents had died 4 years before his return. Judy tries to convince Alan to finish the game, but he says, "Why do you need me?" And Judy says, "Just in case there's any other scary stuff that comes out. Plus, there is a lion in my aunt's bedroom. What am I supposed to do about that?" And Alan retorts, "What do I look like, a ringling brother?" She says, "But she'll be home soon." And he says, "Won't she be surprised? I hope she's not allergic to cats." So they see a car crash from a weird bite. Apparently, the mosquitoes have attacked many people. And this would be my boyfriend's biggest nightmare. He hates mosquitoes to an unusual degree. And I won't embarrass him any more than that. But if a tiny mosquito is anywhere in the house, no one is allowed to do anything until it is killed. Um,
Really?
yeah,
Mosquitoes are
so
scary though. And like if they were that size, oh hell no.
yeah, that size I get, but regular size mosquitoes, I'm like, okay, they're a nuisance, they're annoying. You want to not be bit by them, but no, it's no one can do anything if there is a mosquito. He like gets mad and he'll be like, "Why are you just sitting there? Help me find this mosquito."
Oh my God.
I'm like, why don't we just go into a different room and shut the door? Um, but it'll die eventually. Well, they barely drive out of there. As you know, Alan wasn't old enough to drive when he was sucked into the game, so nobody really in the car knows how to drive. They're kind of figuring it out. And Alan is so happy to finally get home and use the bathroom. He gets cleaned up, shaves, cuts his hair. Peter says Alan is afraid and won't help. That gets Alan to like actually help them. He uses reverse psychology. Judy rolls the dice, but nothing happens because it's not her turn. And it's not Alan's turn either. It's Sarah's. So they went to Sarah's house. It's a psychic shop. It's Sarah who answers the door. I thought Sarah would have been your favorite character.
See, with the whole psychic thing, loved that, but I don't know. I just liked how unhinged Alan was.
I
Like,
thought her unhinged would be like something that you would have enjoyed.
I didn't
But
them all, honestly, just for the sake of this, the line is my favorite. Because now it's I like forgot about the psychic shop part, and now it's hard to decide.
okay, well, Sarah was mine as a kid. I think Carl is mine as an adult, because he's crazy and all these things keep happening to his car and he keeps trying to put it back together, but we'll get into that. So Sarah is played by Bonnie Hunt, who is known for her role in Return to Me, also in The Green Mile, Rain Man, 90s movies like Beethoven, Dave, Now and Then, which we'll see later as well, Jerry Maguire. She's also had her own show a few times as a comedian. She's had a show called Bonnie, another one called Life with Bonnie, and The Bonnie Hunt Show. So she did Life with Bonnie with the actor who played Carl. She's done a lot of voiceover work as well, which you'd probably recognize her from a lot of things, including A Bug's Life, Monsters Inc., Cars, Toy Story 3, and the one that you and I discuss a lot, Zootopia, where she voices Bonnie Hops.
I love Zootopia.
She's often recognized from her role in Cheaper by the Dozen as the mom, and she is also in Mrs. Claus as she plays Mrs. Claus in the Red One, sorry, which is a new holiday movie that came out a few years ago. Now she passes out when she finds out he's Alan. He carries her over to the parish house. He just like her lifeless body, essentially. He just like slings over his shoulders and carries her. We then see her call her therapist, and this is why I thought you'd like her, and ask for her dose to be increased. Alan says, while we're waiting, and opens the game, and Sarah freaks out. And I remember so hard, laughing so hard at her reaction. Like I was just, it was so funny that she's like, no, and then like hops over the couch. Um,
Sounds funny. I kind of
and
felt
they,
bad for her though, because it like that would be so traumatizing if you like
right?
watch someone get sucked into a
And
game
and
and then
then
they
they
showed
come
up.
back.
Like,
Yeah, then they come back after 26 years and want her to like keep playing.
while she's
I'm
like running
so
a psychic shop, or not like running it, but like
yeah.
living in the psychic shop.
I think she is the psychic, is what I'm guessing. So they convince her to hand over the dice and they trick her into playing the game. So he like puts his hand out to take the dice and then moves his hand quickly. And so she rolls. And she freaks out. And it says, they grow much faster than bamboo. Take care, or they'll come after you. And vines appear everywhere. Purple flowers shoot poisonous darts, and the yellow flowers will eat you. Peter is grabbed by a yellow flower, and Alan frees him. Meanwhile, Carl the cop finds his car smashed into a tree, and he then drives it over to the old parish place. Somehow it still drives. Back at the game, they agree to keep playing until it's over. Alan rolls a hunter from the darkest wild, makes you feel just like a child. And Van Pelt appears and starts hunting Alan. Now, Van Pelt is also played by Jonathan Hyde, the same man who plays his dad.
They looked so different.
But he's unrecognizable, right? Did
Like,
you know that they were the same person when you were watching?
no, this time I didn't look into the cast. Typically I look into the cast. This time I didn't look into the cast because I wanted to be like more like surprised and
Yeah.
like what? That's
So that's the same guy.
that's
Definitely
so
looks very
smart.
different.
Oh my
Yeah. Now he shoots the crap out of the cop car because it hasn't seen enough damage by this point. And meanwhile, Alan gets away and ends up back at the house. Judy's turn, 6. Don't be fooled, that isn't thunder. Staying put would be a blunder. Now run! It's a stampede. Rhinos burst out of everywhere, along with the elephant, zebra, and pelican that seals their board game. And this is where the CGI was really cool. Alan blames Peter for not grabbing the game, and they run after the bird, who should be heading for water, is what they assume. Meanwhile, we see Van Pelt trying to buy new bullets for his gun, but his gun is really old. So they sell him an insane gun, new gun, to replace his old gun. And the shopkeeper just checks to make sure he's not a postal worker, which for people going postal. Okay. Well, Alan finds the pelican and the game, but it gets knocked down the river. Van Pelt goes back to the house to track Alan, and he tracks him by the smell into the woods. Does he smell like the back of the wind? Does Alan smell like the back of the wind? I'm just like, is
That
this
reminds me of the witches and
well?
the
And so
fairy.
Hook, because Tinkerbell said that he
Yeah,
had a smell. I'm like, this smell has been following him around every movie.
what is it
Well,
with people tracking by smell? Like that's not people, I guess, like mythical creatures, but like what?
maybe
So
he's a witch.
he
Carl, the
is.
cop, passes the group and arrests Alan, who willingly goes because of Van Pelt. Peter rolls. A law of the dice has been broken. You will slip back even more than your token. He tried to cheat and drop the dice, so they land on 12, since he's only 10 spaces away from winning. Now Peter starts to turn into a monkey. Alan and talks to Carl about his shoes and tells him he's Alan Parrish, and he apologizes and admits to having done that. And Carl pulls over. Then Pelt tries to steal the game. Peter steals it back, but then gets stuck inside the car, and Van Pelt steals it back. Van Pelt heads inside the Sir Save-A-Lot, and they run in after him. Everyone in town is looting this store and every store, which honestly looks like any Black Friday sale in the 90's, which I am incredibly familiar with. That just reminded me of Black Friday shopping every year. It looks like looting. Punches are thrown, carts are everywhere, people are running. That's
Yeah.
what that looks like. So
Did you go Black Friday shopping a lot? as a
I
kid?
did. In the 90's, we did. We kind of slowed down in the early 2000s, but my mom and I were religious Black Friday shoppers. Um, I once had you like the we had a few rules that we would rarely break, but one time we broke by getting a cart. That was a rule that we had. We never get a cart. You have to carry everything that you want. But we had gotten a sound system. And so we had a cart, and this lady tried to steal my sound system out of my cart, and we almost went to blows. I think I was like a freshman, or maybe I was in middle school, something like that. But it was early on. It was like late 90's, early 2000s that was happening. But
Helium sound system?
yeah, out of my cart. It's because there's only this one. Like, what happens is people get crazed and then they want these things and they want these deals. And if there's only one left, they will take whatever they can find, regardless if you're holding on to it or not. Um, yeah, they'll steal stuff right out of your arms if you're not careful.
That's insane. What?
Yeah. We had a few rules, but luckily we don't have to do that anymore. It's not crazy like it used to be either with online shopping. Like you can just refresh the page and click buy. And so you don't have to wait in line for hours with cocoa and stuff to keep you warm. And I mean, you didn't ever like have a whole lot because you were in line. So like you didn't want to carry all that stuff like blankets or something inside. So you were in line in the cold and you were just trying to keep warm. And then you would go inside. But yeah, because you had to wait till midnight because this was pre like, oh, we're open on Thanksgiving. Like that wasn't a thing. You got up at midnight, like you got there at midnight or before midnight, and you would wait in line for like from 10 p.m. for 2 hours in order to be one of the first 100 people in that store. And then you would like go in. And then
What?
you'd have it mapped. We had like a thing you had it mapped out. You would like pick your locations and you would like figure out which stores you were going to hit, what time, and how long you could spend in each store and what you were going to go to get. Like you would go through the ads and like figure out what you were going to get and go. Anyway, you had a whole plan. If you went in without a plan, you would be scared to go back the next year.
Oh my God.
There was
What the
one year we snuck in the back, like the employee doors of the mall, and we could go from store to store in the back, like going in the back way. So you would get into the store without having to go through the front door. I mean, we didn't do that. Wink, wink. We never did that. Definitely never did that.
heck? Oh my God. That's scary. That would like, I went
Yeah.
Black Friday shopping with my mom up until COVID, but it was not that bad.
We would always do that, and we'd always like try to end it, like especially in the 2000s, we'd always like end at Kohl's because that was like our last hit usually, and then we would check out at the jewelry counter. So like you went around the store, got all of your stuff, and then you picked something out in the clearance section at the jewelry counter because it was like you could get like $100 ring that had been marked down to like $50 for like $6 at the jewelry counter because it was like 80% off, and then you got in faster, get it out faster because the line at the jewelry counter was like 10 people, where the line at the regular counters were like 200 people. My mom would probably be mad that I told our secret, but we don't do it anymore. So I feel like maybe somebody else, and I don't think that they let you do that anymore, but maybe somebody else can benefit from our wisdom of. Anyway, all right. Well, uh, Peter gets upset at Alan, and Alan tries to scold him, but then apologizes and tries to help. Peter needs his tail to have a little bit of room. He has a tail now. They get back to the house, and the house is a jungle. It actually looks really magical. Aunt Nora drives off the road when a monkey gets into her car, and we see Carl in the store adding oil to his car, which is apparently all it needs. And then somehow his busted patrol cruiser still runs, and he runs into the ant later. But Vine's like, he gets out of the car, and Vine's like, consume and take his car into the woods, breaking it in half. So that is finally it for the cruiser. They start walking back to the parish house. Sarah rolls every month at the quarter moon. There will be a monsoon in your lagoon, and it pours and floods the house with whitewater rapids. Of course, there is a crocodile, and Alan wrestles the crocodile. Carl the cop goes to break down the door, and when he and Aunt Nora arrive at the house, and the water bursts out the front door and they float on the doors down Main Street. Now, I'm going to just shout this out to anyone who made Titanic. Notice how they had their own doors. People who made Titanic. That could have been an option for you.
Can I read my favorite quote from the crocodile part?
Yeah.
Alan, you wrestled an alligator for me. It was a crocodile. That's so funny. I thought that was great.
Yes, because it had the like extra things on its hind legs or whatever. That's actually not the difference between an alligator and a crocodile. Um, the there's a episode I actually learned all the differences between alligators and crocodiles from what are the two brothers that like are live action and then they go into cartoon and they teach you about science. It's your generation. Anyway, they have an episode where they teach you about alligators versus crocodiles. And I caught that as an adult while I was folding laundry. And I was like, oh, I actually learned so much now because you can tell by their snout and you can tell by their coloration and you can tell by their body type. Anyway, so the group moves up to the attic to keep playing, and Alan rolls, beware of the ground on which you stand. The floor is quicker than the sand. Now, this is quicksand, and this was every 90s kid's nightmare. I don't know why we knew about quicksand. I don't know why we were afraid of quicksand. I don't know why we studied how to get free from quicksand. This is probably a good research paper for someone, but 90s kids know quicksand could happen at any time for some reason. So, it's every
What?
night. I don't, you could look it up. 90s kids, we learned way too much about quicksand, and it was like that and the Bermuda Triangle and like why we thought we would need to know these things. Yeah. So
Lauren? Funny.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a thing. Well, Judy rolls as they try to rescue Alan. There is a lesson you will learn. Sometimes you must go back a turn, which stops the quicksand, which is great. And Peter rolls, need a hand? Why you just wait? We'll help you out. We each have 8 spiders. That was spiders. Big spiders, lots of spiders. Peter goes to get an axe out of the woodshed. Meanwhile, Aunt Nora finds her house is a jungle and runs into Peter, who locks her in the closet. She's safer in there anyway. Judy gets shot with the poisonous darts from the flower and passes out. Sarah rolls. You're almost there as with much at stake. Now the ground begins to quake and an earthquake breaks apart the house. Alan is about to roll when Van Pelt appears in colorful paint. I thought he just looked very beautiful with his outfit. Um, and he rolls and the dice roll away and we see the piece moving. Once the dice actually stops rolling, the piece then starts to move to the center and it actually gets all the way to the center and Alan says Jumanji, just as Sarah is about to be shot trying to save Alan from Van Pelt, and everything gets sucked back into the game from whence it came, including Van Pelt. Now Alan and Sarah are back in 1969. Alan's dad returns and Alan hugs him gratefully. His dad says he doesn't have to go to private school if he doesn't want to. Alan admits to putting the shoe on the conveyor belt, saving Carl from becoming a cop. Alan says, holy smokes, Judy and Peter. But Sarah reminds him they don't even exist yet. Alan and Sarah throw the game weighted down into the river, and Sarah kisses Alan. Later, we see a holiday party at the parish house where adult Sarah is pregnant and adult Peter is dressed as Santa. They invite Judy and Peter's parents and both the kids. Since the dad is in advertising, they hired him for their shoe factory. They stopped the parents from going skiing in the Canadian Rockies where they would be killed in a car accident, so they kept them alive. Later, we see Jumanji has washed up on the beach in the sand and the drumming begins again. So, what did I miss?
So, I'm just gonna go through my notes. And I think they'll be of entertainment. I liked the shoes. In all caps, I said fire shoes. I liked the shoes. I thought
That's good shoes. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
they were cool. They
I
were
was like,
very
there's
cool.
fire on them. Yeah, it's
Fire shoes.
fire shoes.
I, I thought when he like started digging in because he heard the drumming when Alan started digging in, when he heard the drumming. I was like, how did he just like randomly find this random box? I feel like if I heard drumming, it would take me forever to find out where it was coming from, like where exactly it was, and it would take me forever to like dig. So like the fact that he was able to just like dig, I was like, how?
I think it was like right on the edge and it looked like it was loose dirt. And maybe the drumming was like really evident.
Yes, maybe in like first person point of view, it was like, I feel like no. But I think that's like such a funny thing in a lot of action movies is the characters oftentimes like find the magical items so quickly, and it's like, how did you find that? So I just thought that was like a
Oh,
funny little thing. I was like, okay,
it's because they were told, go over to your mark and dig here.
it's true. It's true. That's true. I said nice spiral staircase.
Yes, very nice spiral staircase. Very
Apparently,
good.
I felt like okay, this is like I wrote down this is so crazy and slightly scary. Oh my God. Yeah. And then I also said, what is this abomination of him in the bats? When he got like sucked in and when all the bats came out, I was like, what is
Yeah,
this abomination? What is this abomination? Also, I watched this movie with my boyfriend, but I did not do voice recording because he had already seen it. So
yeah, that's okay.
yeah, but he his second, third, I don't even know what time watching it was, but he liked it. He liked it. I think he more liked watching me be like, what is going on? Because this was like the type of movie where I was like so unnerved. I was like, there's spiders now. There's flowers that are eating people. There's a
Yeah,
lion in the bed. Oh, the only thing I did have to search up was how old the kids were. That I
yeah.
searched up because I was like, I wonder how old these kids are for Peter and Judy.
What did you find?
Where did I write it down? Apparently, I didn't write it down, but I do remember looking it up.
Okay.
Oh, I also wrote down that Sarah kind of sounded like Jennifer Aniston for whatever reason to me. Like her and Jennifer Aniston's voices like reminded me of each other's, and I don't know why. But yeah,
I guess I can kind of see that with Bonnie Hunt.
I don't know.
Um,
Like it was,
it's probably like just how like direct and how they deliver their lines, I think, more than the tone of their voice. But I guess I
yeah,
can kind of see that.
more of the diction. Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. I thought it was funny that Judy was lying to the realtor. I thought that was funny.
Yep,
How is there
that's
a
the main
whole
question.
lie in here?
What?
How is there a whole lie in here? Oh, a big thing I was like wondering is how is all of this just like coming through the house? Like,
It was appearing because Jumanji was pulling it from like this African world that it
uh,
was based on.
I was just so perplexed that like this whole lion was able to fit in this house. It just like I still think it's
Yeah, it
so
just
funny.
appeared in the attic.
I thought it was so funny that he was in the bed. That was like my favorite part. I stand on that hill. I will die on that hill. That was so
You're
funny. He reminded me
okay.
of my cat, even though he wasn't black. But I was like, oh, it's a
Or,
kitty.
or yeah, I think you wouldn't have any room on your bed if that cat was there.
That would be like the best pillow ever. That would be the best
You
pillow ever.
want your face to be eaten off.
Definitely not, but just like, I don't know. I did not like the spiders. Spiders freaked me out. That whole thing freaked me out. I like when spiders,
Yeah.
I closed my eyes for a little bit. I was like, I do not want to see these spiders. I'm okay. I was a little bit scared. A little bit scared. I also did like that they turned back into kids, like that their lives picked up from where
Yeah.
they left off instead of just continuing it. I thought that was like a really nice way of wrapping up the movie instead of just being like, oh, now you guys can be together. After you went through all this trauma, you guys are going to still stay adults. I think it was nice that they got to like experience that and then go back into kids and then
It's a 90's movie. It's got to wrap up in a nice little bow and make everybody feel good.
it was very sweet. It was very sweet. And I was like, oh my God, Sarah and Alan. Yes. I was so happy about that. So I think just the way it ended was very good. I really thought Sarah was going to get shot, though. I really did. I shouldn't have thought that because, as I've learned, 90's movies have happy endings. But for whatever reason, I was like, this, she's going to get shot.
Well,
Okay,
she wouldn't have been killed. If she had been shot, she wouldn't have been killed in the 90's movie. She would have been like, she
resurrected.
would have, it
Fine.
would dramatic, and then we would have realized maybe she didn't really get shot and like something caught the bullet, or this is the classic. That's the classic, like something happens and it's like a heartfelt oh, and then it's like, oh, you're not really dead. But yeah, she didn't even get shot. It just like
Yeah.
stopped right in front. So
Yeah. No, I
well,
liked it. It was a really good movie. It was a really
good.
good movie.
Well, let's talk Festivus. So, Seinfeld is a show that was on from 1989 to 1998. It's described as a show about nothing, famously, focusing on the absurdities of life in New York City. To introduce Festivus, the Seinfeld channel on YouTube actually created clips of the last of that episode. It's from the last season, season 9, episode 10, which you can find also saved to our YouTube playlist called 90's Clips We Love. The backstory on this episode is that there are characters Jerry and George and Elaine, and they are all friends. And then across the hall from Jerry is his neighbor Kramer. I think by season 9, I guess you could call him one of the friends as well. But Kramer goes back to work after 12 years of being on strike at H&H Bagels, and then goes back on strike because they won't let him celebrate Festivus, a brand new holiday that he just learned about. It's new to him. He hilariously pickets outside saying, "No bagel, no bagel, no bagel." Elaine Bennis has been giving out a fake number for years, and she realizes that she gave out this fake number on a sub card that she had 23 punches on, and the 24th sub was free, and she really wants that free sub. She worked really hard to get it. Well, the number goes that she gave out goes to a horse betting place, and the guys who work there are creepy and want her real number. In she's trying to like say, if this guy calls, like, I want this card back, and they want her real number, and so she ends up giving out Kramer's number at the bagel shop. So then she goes and hangs out at the bagel shop waiting for them to call once they finally get her sub card back, after the guy with the punch card calls them. Kramer sabotages the bagel shop in the meantime, and the steam pipe fills the bagel shop with steam where she is just hanging out. Jerry ends up getting a number for a girl at a party who, in some lighting, looks beautiful and in other lighting looks terrifying. Most people see her as terrifying, including Kramer, and Kramer runs into her on the street with good lighting and says, she cannot be the girl that's dating Jerry because that woman is ugly. And this woman is not ugly, but it's the same woman. She just, in some lighting, looks really beautiful, and some lighting looks terrible. I think that's how all of it works with lighting. But that's okay. Everyone learns also that George used to celebrate Festivus, and Kramer reaches out to George's father to get Festivus going again. As a very, very frivolous man, as a character, George gets caught passing out fake donation cards to the Human Fund, something he made up so that he doesn't actually have to give real gifts to people. And after his boss gives him a check for $20,000 towards the Human Fund, accounting calls his boss to tell him there's no such thing as that, as in nonprofits. George admits he doesn't celebrate Christmas and created Festivus, and celebrates Festivus instead. And that's why he gave out these fake cards, because he doesn't celebrate Christmas. He ends up having to bring his boss home to participate in the celebration where everyone else is invited, including Elaine, who's been essentially in a steam room all day because of Kramer, and Kramer, who invites the creepy guys from the horse betting place who called him, and Jerry's date, who thinks he's cheating, and Jerry. So we're going to pause and watch the clip. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
And we'll also post this out on our channel, but you can watch the full episode on Netflix along with the entire series.
It's on Netflix. Awesome.
So Festivus saves trees, as you saw. Let's talk about the rules of Festivus. So here's what we learned. First of all, it takes place on December 23rd. So make sure you can add that to your calendar. When George Costanza was growing up, George's dad hated all the commercial and religious aspects of Christmas. So he made up his own holiday, Festivus for the rest of us. Instead of a tree, he puts up an aluminum pole, no decoration needed because tinsel is distracting. At dinner, which is just meatloaf, you gather the family around and you tell them all the ways they've disappointed you. I would love to adopt that one. And then there's something called Feats of Strength, where it sounds like George and his dad wrestle. And he definitely does not like that. I did learn that this comes from a celebration that one of the writers actually grew up with. It's kind of like based on that, and it is called Festivus. And we'll post the story. I did a little research, and then we'll post the story out from his family on Instagram and Facebook so you can learn more about it. But I really do like. There's a bunch of like restaurants and bars and places and people who've actually picked up this tradition from this show in the 90s. So, what did you think of Festivus?
Oh, I need to celebrate it now. As Christmas, Festivus it is. I honestly though like do need to watch Seinfeld now.
You
That
do.
was like
Yeah.
that whole like little 5 minute clip. Like I didn't think about nodding off once. And normally like 2 minutes into a movie or show, I want to nod off. Weirdly enough,
Well,
it's like the movies that like you tell me to watch, I like generally don't because then I'm like, I'm taking notes and I'm like actually processing this movie. But like normally when it's for my own like free time, I just like fall asleep. But that's something I can see myself being entertained by and like doing stuff behind the scenes, like
yeah.
cleaning like, something while watching it.
Well, yeah, and it'll make you laugh. They find just like every episode is about some little annoyance that they have with something. So sometimes multiple somethings throughout the episode. But it is 9 seasons. So it ran from, like I said, 1989 all through the 90s to 1998. So it ran for a good long time. Um, so are you ready to talk about our next movie?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, we are going to watch the 1994 version of Little Women. Did you ever read the Louisa May Alcott book, Little Women?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Okay.
So I have no
Well,
better knowledge.
it's a really good book. I do recommend the book. This story has been adapted onto stage and screen many, many, many times, including in 1933 with Katharine Hepburn, in 1949 with June Allison and Elizabeth Taylor. In 1978, there was a miniseries with William Shatner. In 1994, which is the version we're going to watch. In 2018, with a version starring Sarah Davenport and Leah Thompson. And in 2019, that's the version you're going to probably like better, but we're going to skip it right now. And that is with Emma Watson and your favorite, Timothy Chalamet.
There's a version with Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, but you have to watch the 1994 version.
Can I watch?
You can watch that one after, but don't ruin it with watching your Timothy Chalamet. I
Watch
knew you
both.
would be like, people say that that one's good, but I think again, it's because there's an obsession with Timothy Chalamet. Uh, so the 1994 one is my favorite of all of them. It stars Susan Sarandon, Winona Ryder, Kirsten Dunst, who we just saw, so you'll see her again, a little bit older, Claire Danes, and Christian Bale, among many amazing other actors. The synopsis is the March sisters confront growing pains, financial shortages, family tragedies, and romantic rivalries in mid 19th century Massachusetts. Jo struggles for independence, sometimes clashes with her beloved mother and sisters Meg, Amy, and Beth. She also contends with their cranky Aunt March, their impulsive neighbor Lori, and the kindly linguistics professor Friedrich Baer. And that is what we're going to be watching next.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'll look into what it's on and I will watch it. I may also watch the
I have a
2019
feeling.
version.
I
Yeah,
have a feeling.
I'm probably gonna watch both. So like next episode, I'll probably report about that. I'll be like, I liked this one more.
Yeah, you can tell me. You can tell me. I haven't seen the 2019 version, but you can tell me all about it in the next episode. Well, you'll be all hearing from us next in the new year. So happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays,
I
guys.
hope you all have a happy Festivus as well, and had a happy Festivus. And until next time, happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year, guys. Thanks for watching and thank you for the support.
Thanks for listening. Bye.